Community Forum is sponsored by the Easton Grange 196 and a friend of Yardley Wood Rink and the Easton Lions Club.
There's a storm across the valley, the clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. Today is March 4th, 2025. I'm Priscilla, Almquist-Olsen, your host, and today I'm interviewing the recently appointed Executive Director of the NRT Natural Resources Trust, Jennifer, goes by Jenn, Smith. Welcome, Jenn.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Tell me a little bit about your background, where you grew up and how you got interested in the path you're on.
Well, it's a very eclectic path, so buckle up. It's an interesting dialogue. No, but I am originally from New Jersey. My husband Dan grew up in Brockton, which is right across the way from Easton, and I moved here in 2004. And I was prior to this role, I was an educator. I taught first grade, second grade, and I taught preschool here in Easton for many years, which was a great introduction to the community and residents. A lot of my original preschool students are graduating high school and have not graduated. So it's been a long time since I've done that. And really from there, I kind of happened to roll into construction, which actually is very fitting because this week is Women in Construction Week. So it's a very big week. It was a very big celebratory week. I did construction for about 10 years. I managed projects, I did business development. And in doing that work of construction, I really started to be involved in supporting diverse groups, equitable paths. And so I became really involved in a lot of local organizations, nonprofits that really promoted equity in the workplace and diversity. And that really led me to work for a nonprofit in Boston called the New Commonwealth Fund, which was a racial equity, social justice nonprofit housed
What's
in
it called?
The New Commonwealth Fund.
Oh.
It was a racial equity. It's still, it had just broken off from the Boston Foundation, and it was really founded by members who were sparked by the George Floyd incident. And so I came on board as their chief of operations. And then this opportunity at the NRT opened up, and I was really excited. I had applied eagerly as a resident of Easton and an active supporter and avid NRT sheep pasture visitor. And so I am able to kind of put forth my education and construction background because there's a lot of fun things happening on the campus, and also my nonprofit background, all rolled in this one amazing role. And actually the sheep pasture is what made me want to move to Easton when Dan and I wanted to settle, when it was really kind of ready to adult. I was like, hey, what about that town that's right next to Brockton that has that really amazing harvest fair? What is that cute town? And so really the sheep pasture is what made Danny and I settle in Easton. So the fact that I'm working here now is a very full circle moment. Yeah.
So it's come round.
It has.
100%.
It has, yeah.
So tell me, what are some of the challenges that you're facing right now at the NRT?
I think with any nonprofit, which is what the sheep pasture is, it's making sure that we are sustainable with our programming. I think we can all agree with all of the conversations that are happening right now with our PACE committee, with our budget, our override, making sure that the programming we're able to offer through Easton Public Schools, like that's something that's looming, and that's very present on our brains. But really making sure that we're able to reach the community and the residents in the best way by offering really stellar programming, and that we're able to actually do that with sustainability of funding. And also modernizing. We've been around for a very long time. We were founded in 1967, and we've had a lot of amazing past presidents, very engaged board members, but in being in operations over 50 years, I think there's always time to reset and look to modernize. And I think the previous director did a lovely job, but I think sometimes being somewhere for almost 15 years, which is where she was, I think you kind of maybe don't see things in a different way. So coming in as a new person with a new lens, really making sure that we are modernizing the way we do our structural framework.
So I didn't realize 1967 was the year it started. My mother was on the one of the founders.
Okay.
On the first, yeah. And I live on Seaver Street and right next to the Woods, which is now part of NRT.
This Street,
and the Ames family donated that to NRT.
Yes.
So they've been a big contributor too.
Yes, they have, and they've been very. It's when I had first come on board, kind of reworking our internal spaces, I came across this treasure trove of pamphlets, newsletters, photo albums. I mean, it is a great reminder of how rich in history the NRT actually is, and what a focal point and what an active place it's been in Easton's history for so many years.
Now, I assume that you are funded by grants, for one thing?
Yep, I mean, we have an endowment that we are able to sustain on, but we do get some grants, and we survive on our programming, our summer camps, and our education, our school contracts are big pieces of our...
Are they? Okay. And tell me, how many students do you serve during the course of a year?
Oh my goodness, probably 1,000 by the time we're said and done. I mean, most of our programming is with Easton, but we do have programming in local surrounding schools up to certain grades. Because environmental education is a very specific thing, depending on how equipped the internal schools are to carry that out themselves, and how much they need to kind of fill that gap with an entity such as the NRT is very specific.
So tell us, what are some of the programs that are coming shortly? And it's March, and I know you're planning for April already, and this summer camp.
Yep, we're always planning good things. So obviously with Earth Day coming up, there's going to be some great programming I know we're doing. We really try to balance evening events, weekend events, knowing how busy families are. So there's a STEAM event, a pirate night that's happening on April 17th. But we're also working with some other individuals to maybe do a nature walk called a nature bath. I don't know, that might be something we'll be coming up, we'll be drumming up. It's a Japanese style of engagement in nature called a nature bath. And you just walk through trails and forests and stop every so often and kind of take in what your surroundings. Our summer camps will be starting up, April vacation camps. We're going to be housing our annual Spring Farm Fest, which is going to be happening in May 3rd. And we will all be doing a new event called, it's going to be a fundraiser to raise money for a barn, because we're going to be buying two new calves for the NRT, 2 mini Coos cows, which is very exciting. So to be able to give them a proper home, we're going to be doing a barn dance on June 6th. So it's going to be an evening event. It's going to be in our barn. We're having a live band, a live caller called the Cliff Broder Band.
Nice.
And we have Shoveltown coming, Shoveltown Shop Brewery. And we also have All Fired Up, which is a barbecue catering company. So that's very exciting. So that's June 6th. So please come. So we'll be getting all of that out on socials very shortly.
So you have created some innovations.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes.
And how about the board of directors? What do they contribute?
I mean, we meet monthly, and so it's really an opportunity to convene and make sure that there's equitable input on our strategic planning, whether that's through our donor cultivation, our programming, how we're showing up in the community with community partners. I think we've done a great job, or Dennis Lindgren, the president of the board, has done a great job in trying to bring a diverse array of individuals with different backgrounds that really contribute in very different ways that I think are very helpful in how we think about the way the NRT operates and what our future is in really specific ways. We have accountants, we have lawyers, we have marketers, and longtime residents, which also brings a really nice insight into how we operate and how we should be operating.
Yeah, now one of the things that interests, I think, a lot of seniors are the walks.
Yes.
And those are free.
Yeah.
And so when is the next walk, do you know?
I believe, I know we just finished the 3-part series. I don't know if we've planned the next, but it's good to hear the feedback that those are really popular. So Hannah Newcomb leads those, and I think it's been very well received. So we will continue to do that.
And is she a science?
She is an environmental educator.
She is
full time with the NRT. I think when we meet. And our team meets weekly. It's kind of figuring out where we've been, where we are, where we want to go. So when we get feedback of programs that are really popular, we definitely plan to continue. It's a little muddy on our trails right now. Thank you to Mother Nature for all of the precipitation and ice. So we'll probably start it back up in the spring, our walks, when the weather's a little better.
Okay, so if you could dream the impossible dream for NRT, what would it be?
Well, I think right now we really need to take care of the buildings on our campus. We have a lot of very historic buildings, rich in history, but they need a little love. So right now we're starting with one building, which is the Parker Room building, and through a very generous grant from the Grant family, we're renovating that right now, and that really is going to help us enrich our school programming and really just offer a good overflow space for any kind of community events. Next on the list will be a big, beautiful, brand new barn, which will help us house more animals, which I think is something that the community would really enjoy, having more animals to come see when they visit us. I mean, there is a circle of life, and we've had some lovely, amazing animals, and I think being able to bring more into the mix as we move in the next 5 years is going to be very important. So a new barn, and then fixing up some of the existing buildings, getting new trail signage, fixing up a dock on our barn, really just improving the space, making people want to continue to come and visit us. Yeah.
Now, there are lots of petting zoos. How do you feel about that?
I think it really depends on the mission of what that organization and company is. And the petting zoo isn't really something that the NRT is really aligned with our mission. Our mission is land conservation and education. And I think the types of animals that we have, you don't really want to pet a goose or a chicken, but maybe if you were brave enough. But I think our animals that we coddle when we get them as babies, I think they're used to human interaction. I just don't know how appropriate it is for the NRT itself.
Right. Well, I think that I agree with you on that.
I think it depends. If you wanted to have a petting zoo of lots of puppies and kittens, it might be very different from cows and sheep. Exactly. I don't know how what the mutual benefit is, except it might be more one-sided to the humans and not so much for the animals.
And do you have you ever had lambs?
We have had lambs, but not in a long time. So we, as we sit, so Louis Hain, if anyone visits the NRT, he is synonymous. He is the unofficial brand ambassador of the NRT. You'll see him out on the tractor, you'll see him out and about. But Louis has been with the NRT for a little over 30 years.
Really?
And Jean Crandall. Jean, who's our director of operations, has also been with us for 30 years. So it really speaks to how special the NRT is to the people that work there and also to the residents, that we've had 2 very long-term staff members. But as we talk about what our big plans are in the next 5 years, we do it in unison, we do it as a team, and everyone is excited at the thought of bringing in 2 new cows and when the time is right to start introducing
Now, you mentioned the name of these cows. I'm not quite sure I know about these cows. You want to tell us a little bit?
It's the mini Coos cows. So if anyone's with the Scottish Highland cow that have like the horns and the little bangs, it's the same, little bangs, it's not like they have hair, but they do. They have like bangs, if you will. Very beautiful hairstyles, but we're getting the mini ones. So it's like a mini Highland cow. So they're small. They won't ever grow to be very large, just small little animals.
I see.
People, a neighbor of mine, her daughter is so in love with these cows, they planned a trip to go over to Europe to see them. It's in Scotland where they originate from. You don't have to go to Scotland. So you can come right over to the NRT in just a few short months' time to see these beautiful cows.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very excited.
Did they produce milk?
They do not.
No.
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 Interesting.
Yeah.
And so they've been in Scotland for generations.
Yes. They originated
Interesting.
there.
And any other animals you would contemplate bringing aboard?
I mean, I think it would really just be the same types of animals that we have now, goats and sheep, maybe some more chickens and roosters. We used to have a pig. I don't know if anyone remembers that. I remember when we first moved here, we had a pig. But again, it's kind of like, what is the best use, and is it aligned with the mission to have some of these animals, and really what fits the accommodations that we have. Once we build that barn, it may help us entertain bringing in different kinds of animals, but the space and how we interact and how we mix the animals is very important. So right now, just more sheep, more goats, some cows, some chickens. That's it.
Yeah, it sounds like a great mix.
It is a good mix. It's a classic. It's your classic farm animal mix.
Exactly, exactly. Now, do you have lectures also for people? I mean, do you have gatherings where you lecture about different things?
We don't in a formal way, but I think because I am so community oriented, a big piece of trying to reintroduce the NRT to how we interact with other members of the community. I think that will actually start to be a little bit more present and visible. In the first week that I started at the NRT, I reached out to so many different organizations and entities saying, hey, I'm here, and let's see how we can collaborate and partner. And so I think that might be something that you see in the next year, trying to really collaborate and partner in a way that the NRT can take the education and the programming that we offer to schools and maybe do it in a different way in the community.
No, because I think most people think of NRT as a service program to children as opposed to adults.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of adults who would really relish having workshops, seminars, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, just even on the discussion of conservation, invasive plants, even just planting, we have our big, beautiful community gardens. There are, or even just the animals that we see, you know, just, I think there's a lot of room for growth and programming and partnerships that we can offer.
So speaking of partnerships, have you reached out to the Easton Garden Club?
I have.
I'm sure you have. And I know that they are big on invasive species.
Yes. So that I have reached out, and so hopefully there will be something that gets cooked up.
Yeah, because I mean, that would be a great workshop for people who really need to recognize what the invasive species are. Because just having a name to an invasive species does not go a long ways. People have to see it. They have to know what it looks like so they can eradicate it.
Yeah, and in fact, the Lynn White very generously donated money to the NRT specific for invasive plant, and making sure that that was something that we were going to utilize to really help take care of our grounds, to make sure that the conservation land was really kind of going to be working in harmony. And so it is something that's very important to the NRT and to any gardener who has lots of grounds, to make sure that they're educated in a way that they can keep their gardens and their open space the way they want. So yeah.
So what's your vision for the future?
I would really love to have the NRT reintroduced to the Easton residents and communities and neighboring communities. I feel like everyone knows about us, but I would like people to get excited about us again in new ways, by either the way we interact in the community, what we offer for programming, the way we keep our space and our buildings in a way that reflects the history, but also where we want to go and modernize. I want to be able to grow and sustain at the same time. And so the future is sustaining what we have, but also building on what we have so that it's growing and changing and evolving in a way that meets the needs of the residents of the community and fulfilling our mission. I think it will always be here. and it's just making sure it's here in the right way, that we show up in the right way for everybody that wants to come and enjoy it.
Now, is there signage on the paths, for example, so that people recognize certain living things?
I am so glad you brought that up. So and that wasn't, I promise, that was not a bit. That was just a free-flowing question. In getting excited about community partnership, I've been reaching out to the schools to utilize our youth, our teens, our middle schoolers. And we also talk about trades, right? Getting people wanting to do things. I mean, I think the NRT is a great opportunity for anyone interested in land stewardship, animal stewardship, construction, facilities, environmental education. You know, we are here for that. So I reached out to Mr. Baldino, who runs all the shop classes at OA. He's actually coming to the NRT today, this afternoon, because I wanted to help have the OA students help us build our new signage for the paths. So the OA students will be working with Mr. Baldino to give new path signage.
And what will be some of that signage?
Well, we're going to be reworking. So all of the existing path signage, which has been there for a very long time, and either it's eroded or it's not very visible anymore, it's all going to be yanked out with fresh new signs. So it'll be very visible, new signs all along the paths. I also think our buildings need signage. Some people, when we say the carriage house, the Parker room, I mean, the chicken coops are pretty easily, but even just get signage and maybe just information about what the buildings are used for, I think is also important. We're also redoing our logo. We're also redoing our logo and our website, so the way that we talk about ourselves, the way we share our story is also going to be changing, and that's going to be going live in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
So lots of big things.
So how does somebody reach your website? What's the
so it's the nrtofeaston.org.
NRT of Easton.
Which stands for the Natural Resources Trust of Easton.
Right.
So nrtofeaston.org. It's going to go live in about, I want to say 2 weeks, but we're very excited. It's going to be really great. It's coming. I think we are in a renaissance of change and growth and enlightenment for the NRT. So the way that we're doing our programming, partnerships, and the way that we share out our information on the website, it's going to be very different. So.
Well, I know that I get a newsletter.
Yes, that will continue.
Yeah, and how does somebody sign up for that?
You can go on our website and go right up to
nrtofeaston.org.
That's right. And you can click to sign up. Or if you are on our campus, I'm there every day. You come. My door is always open. I have dog biscuits for the dogs, and I have candy for the kids if you need something to make them behave on your walk. But no, the door is always open. If anyone ever is on campus and you have questions and you want to know, you can always come in. Open door.
If one has suggestions for programming, you're open to it.
Yes. In fact, I just worked with a group of Northeastern University students who did a small focus group to ask a certain demographic of residents about the NRT. So we are looking, and then we just issued, if you are a member, you probably got a ping, or you will be getting a ping about doing a membership survey. I want the feedback.
I see.
I think it helps rudder our direction. I want to make sure we're rowing in a direction that is in a way that's going to make either current members or prospective members happy. So.
Well, did Northeastern University reach out to you, or did you reach out to them?
They reached out. They found me.
And what's their interest?
I think, so they're a group of marketing students. And so for this particular partnership and collaboration, it was really empowering the students to talk with me about basically kind of the conversation you and I are having now. Hey, you're kind of new to the NRT. What are the kinds of things you're looking to do? And so it was a bevy of, I'm doing a lot. So my team and the board and I are doing a lot together in tandem. And it was, here are some options. Here are some things that we're working on. What would be interesting to you? And so they selected membership and resident engagement, which I think is important. And to get feedback, again, about telling that story about where we've been, where we are, where we want to go. And so I think, what have people thought about the NRT? What do people experience with the NRT? And what would they like to see? And so I'll be gathering that feedback probably in the next month. It's like their cornerstone, their capstone project before they graduate. It's a group of seniors.
And so how do they reach out to residents? and get that information?
Well, I assisted in the sense of I'm also an Easton mom, and so I took the link to focus for the focus group participation and put it out on social media. Some of the like the school groups and the Easton moms groups, like, hey, if you're interested in giving feedback, please this. And so they clicked, and it took them directly to the students to engage and participate in this survey, this focus group survey.
Great. So you're going to get a lot of worthwhile and important information.
Yes, yes.
And that'll help you direct your programs for the future.
Yeah, I think it's important to be open to feedback. I think sometimes people can be sensitive to hearing feedback. Sometimes it can be neutral, sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. But I think growth is sometimes complex, and you need to know all of the feedback, the good, bad, and the ugly, to know really what direction you need to move in.
Yeah.
So I'm open to the feedback, always, from my staff, from my my board, and from anyone that comes into contact, parents and visitors of the campus.
So you're always looking for new members.
Yes.
And so we have about 2 minutes left, and if you were to pitch an
Oh, my hard sell?
So yeah, so let's hear it.
My hard sell pitch of the of joining the membership. I think in a day and age where technology kind of overrides our daily lives, it's really great to reset and engage in activities that help make us whole. And so that's walking trails. We have 14 walking trails on our campus, and you can enjoy that for free for anybody. But the memberships are really vital. If you like the NRT and you want to support it, the memberships are really a very direct way to help support our organization. In doing so, it gives you early advance ticketing for our Harvest Fair, which is our signature event, the barn dance. If you are a parent, you can only enroll your child in our camps if you are a member, so that's a big draw. And also giving intake. You can buy eggs if you're a member. You can buy good fresh eggs if you're a member. It just keeps us sustained and keeps you involved in the community. And we do offer a lot of really great programs that you get advanced sales and advance notice on. So come join.
Great.
We're here.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Jenn
you.
Smith, the new Executive Director of NRT, for being my guest today. And I'm sure that our viewers have learned so much information, good information, and that those who are not members are going to sign up. And it's nrtofeaston.org.
Right.
So check it out and be a supportive of one of Easton's treasures, the Natural Resources Trust.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenn
Priscilla.
Smith. And until next time, Priscilla Almquist-Olsen bidding you farewell, and until next time, be well.
There's a storm across the valley, the clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Community Forum is sponsored by the Easton Grange 196 and a friend of Yardley Wood Rink and the Easton Lions Club.